On this episode of the Catholic Echo podcast from the Diocese of Youngstown, brought to you by the annual Diocesan Appeal and Cumulus Radio Youngstown, we're talking about Catholic high school sports with Bob Gavalier and area diocesan high school coaches. Find more about this episode's topic, including articles from the Catholic Echo, at www.catholicecho.org/podcast. And now the host of the Catholic Echo podcast, Dennis Viviano.
Hello and welcome to the Catholic Echo podcast. Today we're interviewing the 6 Catholic high school football coaches in the Diocese of Youngstown. Bob Gavalier had the chance to catch up with them prior to the start of the football season. Our first stop is in Ashtabula County with Bob Delgosh from Ashtabula, St. John.
Welcome back to the Catholic Echo podcast. We're sitting here with Ashtabula St. John's head coach, Bob Delgosh. And first of all, Coach, thanks for being on the program today.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be a part of the program.
Tell us about the summer, how the summer went, your 2 scrimmages, the heat of the summer. How'd you come out of the summer?
We had a really good summer. We had our best attendance for the non-mandatory practices in June and July than we've had, at least in my time here as the head coach. We got some work in at a few different 7-on-7s with some schools in our area. And then we had our 2 scrimmages, like you said. It's actually been a few years since we've scheduled both weeks of the full contact scrimmages in August because the numbers have been an issue, and we just wanted to make sure that we don't start the season malnourished, so to speak. But this year we were able to do 2. That was really beneficial because it got us well prepared to start regular season play.
Coming into the season, you always, you lose guys, you got guys back. Coming in, what are your strengths of the team this year? What units do you feel real confident about?
That's a great question. I think offensively, our quarterback is a senior, and he's coming back. Vin Narducci, he played very well last year. But in the backfield, he's got a couple of guys coming back as seniors as well. Ryan Williams, you've got Will Anderson. Anthony Severino will be a receiver who is a junior, but like a 3-year starter. So I feel good about that unit, but then I also got to put a little nod to our offensive line, which is going to be, 4 seniors, some of whom are new to our school. They're transfer students, but they're nonetheless seniors who play pretty well, so there's that. And then defensively, again, we are senior heavy in some of the key spots, particularly middle linebacker. Ryan Williams is kind of like my field general out there on that side of the ball. So to have him back, I think he'll keep things in order.
And looking at the other side of it, what are some of the units that kind of need to grow up in a hurry?
Well, I think that's what we're going to find out about our offensive line up front because, you got those seniors, but at least to begin the year, it looks like it's going to be center, guard, tackle, all transfer students, not even all from the same school. So I know they're talented, and they've been working very well, and I know that our kids that are coming back are talented and they can work together. Let's see how they mesh together up front, being that they're playing together for the first time. And again, like you said, that's where having those 2 scrimmages and good attendance in the summer has really kind of got us ahead of that game.
And finally, being at a Catholic school, how do you keep that Catholic identity in the focus?
I think that's really a great question. It's kind of the most important thing, really, right? I mean, that's why we have Catholic schools. And so the football program, we try to have team mass if our chaplain, Father Hetzel, is available. In the previous years, Father Dan was our chaplain, and the typical Friday is after school lets out. We have a mass in the chapel with the cheerleaders and the equipment managers, all the football players and coaches, obviously. And that kind of gets our Friday night started. Then we roll into team meal, get on the bus, and go play a football game. But it's a lot more than just that. I mean, in the summertime, we're heavily involved, again, with the cheerleaders at the Mount Carmel Festival. Our Lady of Peace Parish is a festival, and we do everything from setting up in the week before, tearing down when it's over. A lot of our guys then volunteer on their own during the festival to do different things. And kind of the highlight for us is that the football team puts their jerseys on Sunday of the feast, and we precede the Madonna from Mount Carmel Church to the old site where we bring it back. And so it's good for the kids to get that service and to be a part of that kind of tradition and legacy here in the area. And it's also good for the community to see our kids being a part of that. And then we do other service projects, and half the football staff is theology teachers in the building, including myself. So we try to keep that stuff at the forefront of what we do as a program.
Well, I appreciate your time today, and best of luck on the season this year.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Next up on the Catholic Echo podcast, we will go to Mahoning County and hear from head coach Carl Pelini of the Cardinal Cardinals and head coach Dan Reardon of the Ursuline Irish.
Come join Bishop Bonner and Catholic Charities for our first ever Chefs for Charity event on September 26th at the Eastwood Event Center. Enjoy dishes from 24 local restaurants while supporting Catholic Charities' housing and homeless prevention programs. Tickets are $75 per person, and we're still seeking sponsors to support this meaningful cause. Visit our website at ccdoy.org or call me for details at 330-744-3320.
Wondering what happened to timely Catholic news in the Diocese of Youngstown? It's at catholicecho.org. There you'll find recent stories about Catholic life in all 6 counties of the Diocese of Youngstown, plus recent videos, podcasts, and even national and global news. You'll find it all at catholicecho.org. Sign up for the email newsletter while you're there to have Catholic news delivered to your inbox.
We are back here at the Catholic Echo podcast, talking with head coach Carl Pelini of the Cardamone Cardinals. First of all, Coach, thanks for joining me today.
No, I appreciate you being here.
Let's talk about how the summer came. You had the workouts and then the 2 scrimmages. How did you come out of those?
Well, I think we came out pretty good. We had a great off season in the weight room and throughout the summer. Now we were getting our field rebuilt, so we actually went through camp in the grass, which I called the pasture. So it set us back a little bit, I think, offensively, but we're starting to catch up now and get our passing game in order, and I think that's probably the phase of the game that was the most affected by all the construction.
And your scrimmages, who did you scrimmage and how'd you do with them?
Our first game was against Niles. We played very well. I thought we got the better of that game. And our second scrimmage was against Hickory over in Pennsylvania, and they're really the number one, at least ranked the number one local small school. And that was a good scrimmage. It was hard fought. Thought we probably got the better of them, but neither team scored in the scrimmage. A lot of yards were gained, but nobody stuck it in the end zone. It was a real physical defensive battle.
Coming into the year, you always lose some key guys. You have some key guys coming back. So what right now is your strongest unit coming into this year?
I would say our defense for sure. We have 10 of 11 starters coming back. Now, some of those guys are still young. We played a couple freshmen on that unit, 3 freshmen actually last year. They're sophomores now, which, in my day, those sophomores still wouldn't be playing for you, but it's a little different world now. So we're more experienced on defense, and I think we could be pretty darn good on that side of the ball. Offensively, we're in the opposite boat. We have 10 of 11 starters we lost. So we're rebuilding that unit. It's coming along slowly. I think in the end, we have the potential to be one of the best offensive groups we've had here. But it's going to take some weathering, and these guys are going to have to get some experience before it starts to click all the way.
And teaching at a Catholic high school, kind of a little different than maybe some of the other schools. How do you keep the Catholic identity alive?
Well, we really always try to keep God in our midst. We pray every day as a team. We pray before the game in the courtyard in front of the statue of Mary, and then we visit there after the game, win or lose. If we win, we pray and then ring the victory bell. And if we don't win, we pray anyways, and then just go back to the locker room after that. We try to have Mass a couple times a year. I'd love to have Mass before every game, but, with the priest shortage, it's not always possible. But I think we have 2 Masses scheduled this year, and whenever Father Rovnak's available, we like to get those set up.
Well, thanks. I appreciate your time today, and thanks for being with us in the Catholic Echo.
Thank you, Bob.
Next on the Catholic Echo podcast, we hear from head coach Dan Reardon of the Ursuline Irish.
Get your taste buds ready for some delicious food at our first ever Chefs for Charity event on September 26th at the Eastwood Event Center in Niles. Join 24 local restaurants showcasing their talents while helping to support Catholic Charities' housing and homeless programs, helping those in need in our community. Visit our website for tickets, sponsorship opportunities, and a list of participating restaurants at www.ccdoy.org.
The Catholic Echo podcast will inform and entertain the faithful of the diocese by covering various topics that are relevant in the church today. Bishop David J. Bonner begins the podcast with your host, Dennis Biviano, on the topic of the day, and then you'll hear from others with expertise on that topic. You can listen to the Catholic Echo podcast on WHOT-FM 101, WYFM-FM 102.9, WQXK-FM 105.1 on Sundays at 6:30 a.m., or catch it online by going to www.catholicecho.org/podcast. The Catholic Echo podcast is produced by the Communications Department of the Diocese of Youngstown.
We are here with head coach Dan Reardon of the Diocesan Irish. First of all, Coach, thanks for coming on the show with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on.
Let's talk about the summer, how it's progressed. You know, you had the 2 scrimmages and the whole workout. How'd you come out of the summer?
Yeah, so first of all, every June, we do a big camp trip and college tour that a big chunk of our football team takes part of. Most of the varsity players are on the bus with us. We had about 40 players this year partake in that. It's a full week-long trip. We started at University of Toledo. We then went to Notre Dame, then to Wisconsin, University of Iowa, Iowa State, and then finished up at Indiana University with the camp, and then the very final day we stopped at Bowling Green and did a tour there. So, that's a great opportunity for our kids to be together for a full week and really build some camaraderie and build a team. So it started there, and then June and July went very, very quickly. August was a big grind, like it is for everybody. It's long, hot days and trying to get a lot of reps in. But we came out of that well, had 2 very competitive scrimmages against Kent and Glen Oak and Akron East, and then now we're into the season.
You always lose your seniors. You had a great senior class last year. Talk about maybe some of the units that need to kind of grow up as you head into the season.
Yeah, so a couple notable guys, and it was a good senior class, first of all, but a couple notable guys that we need to replace. Jack Erickson, who was a 2-year starter at quarterback. Tyreek Dunlow, who was a 4-year starter on the defensive line for us. Both were all-state players. CJ Frasco was an all-state player at safety for us. So, we lost some good players, and those aren't the only ones. Those were just maybe the most recognizable names. But filling those voids, I don't know if you ever truly fill a void from a great player, but you try to minimize the loss and, the production that young man may have had a year ago for us. We try to replace that, not necessarily with one guy, but with multiple guys. So the quarterback position, first and foremost, DC Farrell is stepping in for Jack, and he's a very dynamic athlete. DC is a kid who can run it very well, throws it very well. He's played receiver for us for the past 2 years, and corner and punt returner and kick returner. So, he's familiar with having the ball in his hands, and he's going to be fun to watch. I mentioned Tyreek Dunlow on the defensive side, and we need some guys to step up. AJ Snyder, we expect to have a big year. John Frangos is a big returning tackler for us. Tyran Davis at the safety position, who's committed to the University of Akron. So those are some guys that by committee need to replace Tyreek's production from last year.
And how about, the strengths? I think you have a lot of guys coming back from the offensive line. That could be one of the things you're happy with this year.
So we have both of our tackles returning on the offensive line. We have some new faces on the interior offensive line, but it's nice having both tackles back with experience. Probably our most experienced position group would be our secondary. We have 5 or 6 guys with game experience coming back, and with the exception of CJ Frasco, who graduated, there's a lot of guys who have had a lot of reps. So that's a very veteran group. Many of those guys play receiver on the offensive side as well. So, a lot of familiar faces in those 2 position groups.
Coaching at a Catholic high school, how do you keep the Catholic identity?
Yeah, so a couple things. At least a couple times a week, we start the end of the school day, right before we go to practice. We start with what we call quiet time, which is just close your eyes, reflect, put all the nonsense from earlier in the day out of your mind, just trying to center the kids before we take the field. And oftentimes we do some visualization with that, and then we will follow that up with a proverb for the day. Whatever day it is, we pull out, if it's the 22nd, we pull out Proverbs 22 and go through that and try to find something that applies to where we are at that point in time. So those are some things that we do on a weekly basis. Throughout the year standpoint, we always try to do some community service as a team, and there's multiple things that we've done over the years, going to the rescue mission at holiday times and things like that. When we are still playing at Thanksgiving time, we always do some team activities around Thanksgiving if we're still in season, and hopefully we have a good year this year and we're still playing that weekend and we can continue that. So there's a number of things that we try to do, and we always say a prayer before we take the field. We always start a road trip at the shrine. At the end of the game, we come back to the shrine and the whole school community is there and saying a prayer and singing the alma mater. Father Murphy typically leads the charge on those fronts, but there's a lot of little things that add up, but it certainly is a big part of our identity.
Well, thanks a lot, Coach, and I appreciate you coming on the program today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
When the Catholic Echo podcast returns, we will visit Stark County with Canton Central Catholic head coach Jeff Lindesmith.
Did you know that the Catholic Echo magazine is delivered 10 times per year to 52,000 Catholic households in Northeast Ohio? That is more than 150,000 people. And the Catholic Echo website, catholicecho.org, has been averaging 30,000 views per month since it launched in February 2023. Advertise your business, special event, or service with the Catholic Echo in print or online. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org. Advertising discounts are available for Catholic institutions, as well as for businesses that commit to 5 or 10 issues in a year. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org or visit the advertising tab at catholicecho.org for more information.
Come and join Bishop Bonner and Catholic Charities at our upcoming Chefs for Charity event on September 26th at the Eastwood Event Center in Niles, featuring 24 local restaurants. This event supports Catholic Charities' housing and homeless programs. Tickets are $75 per person, and we're still seeking sponsors to support this meaningful cause. Visit our website, ccdoy.org, for tickets, sponsorship opportunities, and a list of participating restaurants.
Welcome back to the Catholic Echo podcast, and we are here with Canton Central Catholic head coach Jeff Lindesmith. And first of all, Coach, talk about the summer, how you progressed through that, the off season, and your 2 scrimmages so far.
Yeah, hey, we had a pretty good summer. We have a large group of kids that are out, a little bit larger than we've had the last couple of years. We suited up about 60 kids, where our average has been about 45 to 48 for years and years. So a little adjustment that way, getting everybody involved. A large senior class, which makes it nice because they kind of know what's expected, how hard to push, kind of help the younger kids, and it's been a good group. The summer went well. 2 scrimmages went okay to plan. Everybody stayed healthy, and we learned a little bit more about our kids and what we needed to improve on.
And, coming into the season, you lose some kids, you get some kids back. Talk about your units that you're most confident with.
Defensively, I thought we'd be pretty good. We have some linebacker groups that are back that have some experience. We had 2 defensive ends back, and Connor Thomas and Isaac Ray, the guys that got stronger. They can move, they're fast, so we thought that would be a pretty good unit for us. Our secondary was a concern defensively just because of lack of experience, some younger kids that we figured they'll have to learn on the run a little bit, which we have. Our offensive group returns about half our offensive line. Jonathan Stengel would be one that most people like to mention just because he's a Division I prospect that committed to Miami of Ohio, had offers from all over the country. He's 6'8", 320 pounds, and I like to say he's kind of a skinny 6'8", 320. He's got a lot of room to develop. He's got good feet. He's a 3-sport guy that plays basketball, throws a shot in the disc. Just a real good athlete that the sky's the limit for him. Lost Dan Boron, probably one of our most skilled kids last year, did a lot of things for us, and that's a concern for us offensively. Our team speed, who's going to generate and make big plays for us.
Coaching at a Catholic high school, how do you kind of keep that Catholic identity through the season? Service projects, masses, prayer services?
Sure, we do a lot of things. That's very, very important to me. It's very, very important to my coaching staff, how we conduct ourselves, how our practice goes, our verbiage, everything that way is very, very important. You have to represent the Catholic faith. It represents Central Catholic. Our kids are taught, sometimes the hard way, a little bit about accountability to our school and what they represent and in their religions. Even though they may not be Catholic, they're part of that package now, and we think that's important. We do a ton of different community service things throughout the summer, from mulch to all kinds of different things for people that need it. This Monday, matter of fact, 6 of our seniors will go out with me to the Pro Football Hall of Fame and spend the day with high disability kids. They actually put on like a camp day. It's kind of a football camp kind of things, and there'll be a couple hundred kids that from wheelchairs to can't talk to can't move, that they have kids from all over the county there, and it's neat. I like watching our kids better than anything because they are really touched by it. These kids that participate think of them almost like NFL players. And that's important. We pray before practice. We try to make sure before games, we always make sure that we thank God for the ability of what we have and what we're going to do together, and that's important to us.
A lot of schools that I've talked to have an end of the game routine, the victory bell, something like that. Do you guys have something like that?
Yeah, we do. And we come up to the school. Our stadium's a little bit of a walk from here, so once we get done in the locker room, the kids will come up after a win, and our student body's out front, and they have a good time out there and do the victory bell, yeah.
Well, thanks for your time today, and best luck in the season, Coach.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next up is St. Thomas Aquinas head coach Kevin Henderson.
Come join Bishop Bonner and Catholic Charities for our first ever Chefs for Charity event on September 26th at the Eastwood Event Center. Enjoy dishes from 24 local restaurants while supporting Catholic Charities' housing and homeless prevention programs. Tickets are $75 per person, and we're still seeking sponsors to support this meaningful cause. Visit our website at ccdoy.org or call me for details at 330-744-3320.
Did you know that the Catholic Echo magazine is delivered 10 times per year to 52,000 Catholic households in northeastern Ohio? That's more than 150,000 people. And the Catholic Echo website, catholicecho.org, has been averaging 30,000 views per month since it launched in February 2023. Advertise your business, special event, or service with the Catholic Echo in print or online. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org. Advertising discounts are available for Catholic institutions as well as for businesses that commit to 5 or 10 issues in a year. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org or visit the advertising tab at catholicecho.org for more information.
Welcome back to the Catholic Echo podcast. We're here with St. Thomas Aquinas head coach Kevin Henderson. And Coach, talk about your off-season, the scrimmages, the summer. How did you come out of that?
We did fairly well in our scrimmages and what have you. It's a big step up because last year we were unable to have scrimmages because of the numbers and everything. Right now our numbers have increased, which has allowed us to be somewhat more competitive because we have a little bit more competition in certain positions across the board. And then again, coming out of the scrimmages, we were able to see some things and identify some players, identify some skill sets that we hope to build on as we move forward.
And as always, you lose your seniors. What are you confident about in your units this year? What's your most strongest unit?
I think we're stronger than we have been. I came into a program last year and we weren't very strong. We hadn't lifted weights, and that's one of the things that I focus on. I think you have to lift weights in any sport you participate in. So it took a while for the kids to buy in, and now they bought in, and hopefully we can build on that. We're still not where we want to be, but we're headed that direction.
And how about the group? Offense, defense, what are you most senior-laden or most experienced?
We're young across the board, offensively and defensively, particularly our offensive line. We have a lot of kids there that have not played much football, so we're in a teaching process. Each week, we just hope to get better each time we go out to practice and certainly games.
And teaching at a Catholic high school, how do you keep that Catholic identity alive during the season?
Well, we just concentrate on the principles and values that we're a part of here at the school. We try to, I want to say, inculcate into the kids the Catholic faith and Catholic identity as much as we can, and they buy into it. They like the process, and it works for us.
And how about service projects? You try to do some service projects throughout the season?
We're still trying to find our way as far as the service projects are. We're in conversations with administration right now to see what we can do to help out around here and get the kids some service projects that they can build on and they can get some credit for it.
All right, well, thanks for your time today, and thanks for joining me on the program. Best of luck this season.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Our final stop is in Trumbull County with Warren JFK head coach Damon Buente as the Catholic Echo podcast returns after this timeout.
The Catholic Echo is the media arm of the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown, and it seeks to inform and entertain Catholics in our 6-county diocese by forging stronger connections to our parish communities and highlighting the many blessings of Catholic life in our region. If you have a story idea for the Catholic Echo magazine, podcast, or website, send an email to catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org. We'd love to hear your ideas.
We are here with Warren JFK head coach Damon Wente. First of all, Coach, talk about the summer, your scrimmages, how you came out of that.
Summer was grueling. It was intense. The one thing that I thought that was different this year is really competitive. I think a lot of seniors, we have 15 seniors coming back. I feel that they have grown up and matured a little bit. We have more numbers on our roster, so I think that the combination of the seniors' maturity and having more numbers has led to some competition. I think iron sharpens iron, so it's been grueling, but it's also been competitive, and I think that's helped us a lot.
And as always, coming into this season, you said you had a lot of seniors coming back, but you lose some guys too. Some of the strengths of the units this year, defense and offensively.
Well, offensively and defensively, our skill, I think our skill can match up with a lot of, good teams. We have 4 guys that were state runner-up in the 4x2, and all those guys play football. We have them all. So, I think that we have some good speed. We have guys that weren't on that relay that provide exceptional speed at the skill spots, too. We bring back our quarterback, and, we brought one of our wideouts is also going to play quarterback for us a little bit, so we kind of have a 2-quarterback system going there. Defensively, I think our defensive backs, again, our skill is going to be a strength. I think our defensive line is going to do a nice job. I hope we have a nice, solid rotation there. So we're looking forward to those groups providing leadership, some game-breaking ability also from those groups.
As you go into the season, what are some of the weaknesses that you need to grow up pretty soon to get started?
Well, every year, the last group that always develops is the offensive line. Your defense is flying around for 3 months. Your offensive skill, they're running around, passing, throwing, catching. The offensive line doesn't get to block anybody until August. They're going through individual. So they're always the last group to gel. So we really need them to take a step forward with some young guys. We're going to be evaluating freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors on the offensive line. And then defensively, we're looking at some new faces at linebacker. So we're really going to rely on those 2 groups forming a bond, forming an identity, and then hopefully we can accelerate that process faster than we would like to.
Teaching at a Catholic high school, how do you keep the Catholic identity during the season?
Well, the Catholic identity is a footprint here at Warren JFK. The kids study it. This is a K through 12 district, and the kids study it all the way through. As a program, we openly discuss our faith. We have prayer study on Friday before games. We pray after every practice. We talk about our relationship with God openly, and a lot of our captains discuss it openly with their peers too. So that's never going to be left out of the curriculum here at Warren JFK. Our faith is paramount, because when things go poorly, that's all we have is our relationship with the Lord. So we look to carry that and continue that and make sure that stays with our boys, not just now, but indefinitely.
Thanks for the time again. Best of luck this season.
Thank you, and thanks for covering our school.
Thanks to all the coaches for taking their time to be on the show today. And to find more about this episode, visit the Catholic Echo at www.catholicecho.org/podcast.
The Catholic Echo podcast is a production of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Youngstown. Your host has been Dennis Biviano. Have a blessed day, and may God be with you.